Hello, good afternoon everyone. I'm just out on a drive on the way to another job, and figured that this is the sort of only time really that I'm going to get to do these sorts of videos, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the INN and in the movement that I think is worth talking about. A lot of this I wanted to bring up on the stream that we had planned, but obviously that for everyone who tuned in, we're deeply sorry about that and that it didn't get to go ahead as planned. But I figured that we should just sort of outline where we aim to go and what's going on with the INN at the moment, as I'm sure a lot of people are quite interested in that and how we're different to other people. And we've had a lot of, I wouldn't say criticisms, but sort of valid questions really about our movement and how it works. And I just wanted to clear up a few things, because I mean, behind the scenes we're refining things every day, and this is an ever-changing sort of movement. And as I'll explain in a few minutes, is how we operate. You know, as long as we stick to the founding principles of the INN, which you'll find I'm not going to list here. Because if you're interested after you've listened to this video, then get in touch and we'll send you the details of the INN, what is expected of you as an independent nationalist, and how you can help us out. So anyway, I'll go into the first bit, which I think is most important, because I think it sort of outlines why we're different and what we aim to be. So actually a good friend of mine that I knew from a previous movement, I won't name them, we were talking the other day, or we were in a bigger group, and the subject of the INN came up, and there was some drama going on with this other movement, and we were sort of backwards and forwards and talking about these things, and he made quite a valid point, which is, or was something along the lines of how, sort of mowing the lawns of a graveyard isn't going to turn your next door neighbours into nationalists. And that's a good point. No, you're right, it isn't going to turn everyone into nationalists, and I get that. But I think the point is being missed a little bit about why this work exists, okay? So yes, I totally agree. Cleaning graveyards, right, isn't gonna change the political sphere that we're in. I know that and I get that. All right, we're not trying to convince anyone that that's the case. But what these sorts of projects do is it pulls nationalists together. So when we set up a project like cleaning the gravestones or clearing bushes or doing whatever, aside from it being a decent thing to do as a human being and caring about your country, the land and your people, and wanting them to enjoy these things as much as you do or did do in a previous time, that's obviously a positive thing. Number two is actually getting people together, right? There were 4 or 5 of us that all met up that day to clear that particular tomb, and we had a great laugh. You know, we fell over, we slipped in the mud, we laughed about how cold it was in the rain, we shivered together, and we cracked on and we kept working hard. We laughed, we bantered, we had a good time, you know. We had a beer, you know, I went down to the local hot pork roll shop and grabbed us all a hot pork roll, and it was lovely, and we all sat around and we talked, and you know, we sort of gave a little bit of our sort of political views, you know, and had a bit of back and forth, right? That's building bonds, that's building friendships. That I now know those people, and I know that they're willing to turn up to things and they're willing to work, okay? So that's a big tick in the box, isn't it? Yeah, there's no point having a movement of 15,000 people or 20,000 people if you've got 3 or 4 people doing the work. You know, what's the point? What's the point? It's just an online fan club then, isn't it? You know, there's nothing actually going on in the real world. Another point to attach onto this as well, and I coined this the other day in another chat, and it just sort of, you know, as you do, you're pondering away and thinking about the world and the way that things are and how you make that change. And I guess I got into the trail of thought of how do things get bad, because there must be an opposite sort of reaction to that. Yeah, so I was thinking about the broken window theory. If you're not aware of the broken window theory is that you can have a perfect pristine road where it's all perfect and beautiful, and the theory goes that if a window gets broken on that road, if you don't repair that window immediately, then you will start seeing that other windows will start getting broken down that road, right? And it's a path of obsolescence, and this is a proven theory. You know, if things are left to degrade and to fall into obsolescence, that's what happens, and it's exponential. You know, when people start seeing things turning into a shithole, then they start treating it like a shithole. You know, look at a lot of these like smaller suburbs in Birmingham. You all know them if you know the areas and you drive into these areas. I mean, I'm using Birmingham as an example because it's quite local to me, and I see it on a regular basis, that you see these families that move into these streets and they just don't give a shit, and then before you know it, there's mattresses dumped at the end of the road, there's bags of rubbish piling up sort of 4 foot high, you know, around trees, you know, just because they can't be bothered to manage the rubbish or chuck it in the back of the car and take it to the tip. They'd rather just throw it on the street, shut the front door and ignore it because everyone else is doing that. So my theory is that we do a reverse broken window theory, right? So if we start putting effort into making something nice, choosing something that's quite in the open eye, quite in the sort of public sphere, and maintain it, and then try and spread it from there. I mean, a lot of this has happened. You sort of see this kind of movement, what's the word for it? Like, it's almost a bit of a fad, isn't it? You know, like the litter picking thing. You see these people with the blue bags at the side of the road in their high vises, you know, and you see it more and more and more now, especially coming up to elections time. Everyone's out and everyone's litter picking, but everyone wasn't doing that a few years ago. Yeah, you had a couple in smaller communities who cared about the community, and they go out and they tidy up after the school kids and that kind of stuff. You know, that happened, but not at this level. Not where people are finding that they having to do it in an industrious way just to get, you know, the motorway exits clear and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so our plan is to use that reverse broken window theory, and if it pulls our nationalists together to do a little bit of work and get something good going, then I see that as a good thing. Alright, so I'll probably leave this at that, because that's an 8-minute video just sort of talking about, you know, why our activism is the way that it is, and also just keeping in line with things. I mean, you know, obviously the cleaning up of graveyards isn't the only thing that we do. We've got dozens and dozens of projects that we would like to sort of move forward, but the simple fact is there's only so many people working hard within the INN. You know, we are a small group of people. We aim to grow, but we want good people that are going to work hard and get involved because they want to. You know, I don't want to force people to do anything that they don't want to do. That's not what I'm about. And you know, if we're going to save this country, we need some really proactive people. And if you're not willing to get off your ass on a Sunday or a Saturday morning and you know, spare a few hours to come and work with your local activists, then, you know, I don't know. I mean, maybe this just isn't for you. You know, maybe nationalism just isn't for you. You know, because there are a lot of doers out there. There's a lot of people that are they're working very, very hard. Actually, I will go into another point, and I'll knock this off at about 10 minutes. But what I've seen is a massive glaring difference. What you have is, in nationalism at the moment, what I found is, right, you've got your online community, which is strong. There's a lot, and you know, there's a lot of the Zoomers. There's a lot of younger guys in there, which is great because, you know, people are getting politically engaged at a younger age, which is fantastic, and the technology is being used for that purpose in what I would say is a positive manner for young people to be getting involved. But also, the big trouble is with the online community is it tends to not really do very much in the real world. But there are groups out there that are in the real world, and they get this, and they seem to be from a sort of from a more sort of boomerish sort of generation, you know, maybe a little bit older than me, sort of the, you know, the 40s going up to sort of the 50s. They're very much, you know, the way that their mind works isn't the same as ours with the technological sort of side of things, so they want to get involved and get things done. So what you tend to see is where, all right, for a really good example, you've got, say, PA noticed that there was a massive issue within our education system, so they worked really hard and did a really good job to get homeschooling curriculum together, which is fantastic and one of the best things in my view that PA have done. I think it's absolutely amazing. But again, it is an online thing, whereas then you've got the Hope Project, which is sort of a branch off from the Truther movement, who are a bit upset about all this mandatory vaccines and various other things that us nationalists are also, you know, very concerned about. They've essentially built a school for homeschooling, you know, an actual living, breathing space that if the electricity turned off tomorrow, everything in the online world would be gone in an instant like that. Whereas when you build something in the real life, it stays and it can be used for after those times if things do go wrong. You know, when we've got these food shortages coming up in the future, you know, like society and life more than likely isn't going to be recognisable to what we're used to today. So yeah, I'm all for the real world thing, okay? And the way that I see it is, for the real world thing to happen, we need to get good people on, and people who are willing to get involved. That's why we created the INN. We don't want any donations. We don't want anything from you. We just appreciate your time. We don't want your details. We don't want to take your driving licence. It's been proven that stuff's absolutely pointless anyway. We do have vetting. You know, if there's social events going on that we deem that there's maybe too many new members that we're not familiar with, then we would, oh bugger, I've just gone the wrong way, let's talk, nightmare. Yeah, we will do, you know, a fair amount of vetting, and obviously we're not going to let some random guys come to a meet when we've got children present and things like that. You know, we're not stupid. We make sure that we play every meeting by its own merits, you know, and try and keep OPSEC as good as it can be. I mean, there's no way of keeping these journos and things out of our groups and out of our meetings anyway, so we might as well just crack on and just behave yourself, really. But anyway, look, really good talking to you guys. I wanted to do a video. I'm going to do a series of these things to run through any criticisms. If you do have any criticisms, jump onto Telegram, the INN chat. It's now called the in-house, or the in-public bar, the INN public bar. Come into the public bar, tag Anglo Joe, and ask any questions that you want, and I'll try and address them as quickly as I can. Alright guys, have a fantastic day, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.